Hi, Rick.
Hi. Big ass line up there. Wonder where the building is that Gozer appeared.
What do you think, Rick?
It's big. Everything's very big. Here we are at the Excalibur. Originally built in 1223 by King Arthur's cousin Rufus and his buddy Paulie, that decided gambling was a pretty sweet gig. They didn't pull the sword from the stone, but they pulled the money out of your pocket. Kind of like Cinderella's castle, only more awesomer and more cocaine. Doors here are actually 700 years old. So this carpet was originally laid by Arthur's third cousin, Lucius the Dim-Witted. It's been here since 1437. And we're going to eat and drink mimosas and get silly. We are eating brunch at the Excalibur, where they have bottomless mimosas and really awesome fruit. We are walking down the Las Vegas Strip on our way to see the historic Las Vegas sign and maybe sing an Ace of Base song whenever we get there. You know the song. All that she wants is another baby.
Not the right ones.
It is the right one.
No? We're at the sign.
We're at the sign. Yeah, it's been there since like 1812. Constructed by George Washington and Ben Franklin, probably. I don't know. Wait. Don't tell me what to do. You're not my real dad. It's the most famous sign that's right by an airport.
Tell us the history of pinball.
Well, see, pinball was started in 1097 by the Chinese. That was originally called Ning Shao Tao Ti. Kind of roughly translate to table with holes. And they would use the eyeballs of the enemies that they took from the Huns. And then, Evel Knievel came along and changed the game. And basically, like, if you win the game, you can see through time. All right, here we are at the Luxor, standing in front of the Sphinx, which was built in 2700 BC by King Tutmos IV, who said Egypt didn't all that good. Well, we're gonna, go over to Vegas and everything. And it is said that the face of the Sphinx was modeled after Wayne Newton. Well, it's the pyramid itself, which was, for some reason, dedicated to Carrot Top. Meant to contain terrible, terrible person that is Carrot Top. Good morning. We are here at the Flamingo in Las Vegas. I'm eating wings. Why would they serve chicken wings at the Flamingo, you ask? It is because in 1973, when the Flamingo was first built, they had actual flamingos running around. Well, landscaper didn't see one when he was mowing the grass. Bird was annihilated, but it was kind of tasty. Like, hey, let's just do this. Chicken wings at the Flamingo came from a mutilated bird in a lawnmower. So we're heading towards Caesar's Palace. And pretty common knowledge that the place was built in 275 BC by Julius Caesar. He had a cute little nickname, that his friends called him because of his love of spray tans. They referred to him as Orange Julius. Everybody knows the real reason this place is famous is because of Evel Knievel. Julius Caesar had a brother, Scott, who suffered from dwarfism, and made these like pizzas that were meh. And Julius is like, I'll tell you what, I hope you bankroll this. Your pizzas aren't good, but people will smash on it if you sell them really cheap. So therefore, we have Little Caesars. They got some genuine imitation marble columns here, and it's all because of Orange Julius and Evel Knievel. That's really all you need to know.
Little Caesars.
And Little Caesars. That's all it for Rick's history tips right now, so don't bother to Google this stuff because I already told you. Now here we see one of the beautiful fountains here at Caesar's Palace. It's not the one that Evel Knievel jumped over, so it's not one of the important ones. But this fountain was erected in 1673 by Morton J. Waterfeature, who was basically born to make fountains. Some women there having some wardrobe malfunctions. If you make a wish and jump into the fountain, you'll get arrested. That's all I got on the fountain. Don't bother to Google it because I already told you. Okay, so here we have statue of old Orange Julius himself. Believe it or not, that was his actual skin tone. This statue is famously known as, hey, smell my finger. And that's all I got on the statue. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. So here we are at the Sphere. This place was built in 1937 by Don Allen Blankenship. His grandfather, Aloysius Blankenship, was the inventor of the ball pit. This was a guy obsessed with balls. He ended up winning a lawsuit against Rachel Ray because one of her recipes gave him explosive diarrhea. And everyone said, Don Allen, what are you going to do with all that money? He said, I'm going to build the biggest ball you've ever seen, and I'm going to cover it with twinkle lights. He pulled a Clark Griswold. There's over 27,000 lights on there. That is the product of explosive diarrhea. So here we are inside of the Sphere, getting ready to see the Eagles. Who are the Eagles, you ask? They're a band from California that smoked a bunch of dope, played some songs, said, hey, this is kind of cool. Why don't we make a career out of it for the next, I don't know, forever? They're old as shit now. They got formed in 1937, back when weed was invented. It's basically Don Henley and the other guys. This is the only one that's around. Areas 1 through 14 were total failure. We're standing by a prime example of what happens when celebrities and movie stars get into drugs, alcohol, things go bad. Here we have the robot from My Iron Giant. Kind of sad what's happened to him. Just become My Iron Disappointment now. Now we all know the film My Iron Giant came out in 1973, starring Macaulay Culkin's half-wit cousin, Steve. Don't read any of that. That what I told you is true. We have a vehicle over here done in the art style of post-apocalyptic redneck chic. Basically what happens during the end of the world, and hillbillies are involved. It actually runs on Budweiser and disappointment. That was more Rick's history tips. Don't bother to Google it because I already told you. Okay, we're at Omega Mart. It is a store that was opened by the Omega Moose from Revenge of the Nerds. They took their money and said, hey, let's open a grocery store. But they let a guy run it that was basically the love child of, let's see, Salvador Dali, H.R. Geiger, and Timothy Leary. And we're about to try a drink called the Apple Juice. It includes this little something called the Buzz Button. This is inspired by Buzz Lightyear, of course. He was on an alien planet and just started eating everything. And got these cool little things and was like, hey, that's it. I'm going to name it after myself. So, yeah, we're going to try these drinks. Everything I said, don't bother Googling it because I already told you.
Of the moment. moment has ended.
I sentence you to something.
So here we are on the monorail. This monorail was first built in 1953. It was supposed to be called the dual rail, but contractor could not read. He was hired by the mob, and they didn't know that he couldn't read, even though he had the name, illiterate Polly. And they're like, it's only got one rail. Hey, what are you gonna do, huh? It's a good way to ride around, see things, and you don't have to walk 800 miles. All because of a guy hired by the mob with no contractor's license that couldn't read. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. We're going to talk about the big ass line up there. Now that line was built in 1835. It is made out of 100% 24 karat gold, and its name is Leon. They say that the Cowardly Lion was inspired by Leon up there, but come on, Cowardly Lion was a little bitch. Many people have tried to climb up there and hack a little piece off because it is solid gold, but the whole thing up there is surrounded by landmines. It's kind of like their own version of the fountains at Bellagio, only with body parts. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. Here we are in front of what used to be the Tropicana. Tropicana, of course, was built by Mortimer J. Weisenheimer, orange juice magnate. The place stood up for a while, but it ended up collapsing because the internal structure was entirely made out of oranges. You can't make a foundation out of oranges. Look what happened. Hello there. So here we are at Tournament of Kings at the Excalibur. We eat and we're entertained by carnage and violence. We are sitting front row in the Ireland section. Then you got the Spaniards and Romanians. Romanians is mostly vampires. So, I'm glad to see them out. We're going to eat some chicken. We're going to watch some people on horses, and hopefully there will be a decapitation. It's amazing how even in 1037 they had LED lighting and everything. No need to Google it, because I already told you. So here we are at the Venetian. Look familiar? Ever been to Italy? Neither have I. But these buildings came directly from Venice by order of Michelangelo, Leonardo, and the rest of the Ninja Turtles. There's canals that run through here that are completely filled with children's tears. The gondolas are very buoyant. How many kids it take to cry to fill that canal? A shit ton. And this was built in 1403. And yeah, it was brought over here on the Mayflower by the Ninja Turtles. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. We're on the gondolas, and I figured I'd give you a little history of the gondola. Gondola is roughly an Italian word that means boat without a motor. It's 1375 or so. The 100 horsepower Mercury boat motor wasn't invented yet. Old Da Vinci and his buddies was like, hey, let's run around in a boat anyway. It'll be fun. We'll have some beers. It'll be cool. So they're like, what do we call this freaking thing? And he's like, gondola. And don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. Standing by a statue of the Venus de Milo. It is called that now, but legend has it that your girl Venus there, hardcore heroin addict, to the point where her arms fell off, and before that she was called the Intravenous de Milo. That's my history tip on the statue. Don't Google it, because I already told you. So, we're at Tom's Watch Bar, and I'm here to give the history of Tom's 40-ounce beer. Tom was, he was a big fella, around 300 pounds, 6'8", big dude, big guy. Summer of 1948, it was really hot out. That guy was like, I want a beer. And someone handed him a bottle, and he was like, no, I need a bigger one than that. And the only thing they had was a flower vase that was around 40 ounces. And he drank that all in 2.4 seconds. He died shortly after. In his memory, they have the Tom size beer. Big Tom McCracken was killed by drinking beer, but not with one of these on a hot summer day as I originally thought. He was killed by drinking two. He was a man of great thirst, you see. And he said, lash them to my hands. And he said, and do not take them off until I drink both of these. And they said, you're crazy, Tom. He said, I am not Tom, I am Edward 40 Hands. And he proceeded to drink both of them in 2.7 seconds, which resulted in his death. So there you go. That's the story of Big Tom / Edward 40 Hands. No need to Google it, because I've already told you. So here we are, beautiful little courtyard, New Orleans, Bourbon Street. A lot of history in New Orleans, a lot. Back in, 1375, some French people got together and said, hey, we need a place that's really hot and muggy and to where we can just drink a whole bunch. And boom, New Orleans was invented. And then you add in some voodoo and some crawfish and more alcohol. I am drinking this daiquiri, which is basically 20% slushy, 80% liquor, and it is known as Spider-Man because I'm about that far through it, and I could probably climb walls at this point. But yeah, New Orleans was founded because French people wanted a hot place to get drunk. Don't bother to Google it because I already told you. Right along the Mississippi River. River's so dang big, they named a state after it, even though that state sucks. Now, the Mississippi River moves over 8,000 gallons of water per second. That's enough to flood roughly 1,400 bathrooms. The water is 2 parts water, 3 parts mud, which is why they call New Orleans Chocolate City. Probably a body or two is in there. Yeah, that's my history on the Mississippi River. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. We're going to talk about this big building back there. That is known as St. Louis Cathedral, built by Louis Van Fluharty in 1473 because he got in a pissing contest with some other dude to see who could build a bigger church. But the thing is, there's actually no doors in there. It was a kind of a mix-up on the architect's part. It's the biggest church that you can't go into because there's no doors. In front of the church there is a statue of Lieutenant Colonel Action Jackson, who in 1837 was the first guy to pop a wheelie with a horse. Back in those days, stuff was boring. Here we have all the horse-drawn carriages and stuff. And, the poop just kind of filters out through the rest of the French Quarter, which gives it that lovely, that lovely smell. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. Hi there. So we are leaving New Orleans. We are driving across the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. And I figure I'd take this opportunity, since this is a long freaking bridge. It's roughly about 150 miles long. The longest bridge over open water in the world. Now in 1735, Jean Lafitte Baptiste Antoine Lefleur and his buddy Chucks, they made a bet to see if they could make a bridge across Lake Pontchartrain. So they made it out of horse bones and trees. That bridge failed horribly. They both fell in the water and they drowned. And so other people built a bridge across the lake. And that bridge was destroyed during Katrina. So they built another bridge. And that's the one we're driving across. And hopefully, that one stays up. Because I can swim, but I can't swim that good. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you. Now here we are in Addis, Louisiana. We are hanging out with my brother from another mother, Mr. Brian Carlisle.
There he is.
And we fixing to play some darts. How did darts originate, you ask? I'm gonna tell you. Now darts started in ancient Korea about 375 BC. People have been playing it ever since, getting drunk, throwing sharp things at each other. That's what we do. Don't bother to Google it, because I already told you.